All right, good afternoon, everybody. I almost said good morning, but good afternoon. Ryan Leary here from Recruiting Daily. We've got another great webinar today with the one and only Michael Krause. We'll get to Michael in just a minute as we make an intro, but let's give another moment or so as we kick off here to let some people join in and get connected. So webinar today is, are you sick and tired of doing tech recruiting the old way? Yes, a lot of people are, this is one of our most popular topics, which is why we wanted to bring this webinar out to everybody. So if you can go to the next slide there, Michael, and we'll kick this off. So some housekeeping rules for today. Everybody is in listen only mode. That means that you can hear us, but we cannot hear you. If you have a question, definitely ask it, but on your panel, on your GoToWebinar panel bar there on the right-hand side, just click on the Q&A and go ahead and drop in your question there. If you want to drop some questions in, let us know that you can hear us. If you have any questions you want to kick off with, just drop them in. We'll queue them up. Share this online if you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, anywhere. Go ahead and share it with the hashtag #RDaily. And yes, we are recording. And yes, everybody will get a copy of the slides as well as the recording. So go ahead to the next slide, Mike. All right, so we have to take a moment here to say thank you to two of our sponsors today. We've got two on the webinar. We've got Glassdoor. Everyone obviously is very familiar with Glassdoor, but if you're not, they are, if not the largest, one of the largest job boards, recruiting sites online today. Clearly, if you're a job seeker, you are most likely on Glassdoor. You are well researched and more informed, and you are looking, excuse me, and you are looking for some information, intelligence on the job as you are looking for your new job and going into the interview. So check them out, Glassdoor, if you are looking for some hard to find candidates. And then the next sponsor for today is Outmatch. So next slide there, Mike. Thank you. So Outmatch is interesting. If you haven't heard of Outmatch, definitely check them out. And you're going to get some offers after the webinar. We'll send this out in an email as well. But Outmatch is a predictive talent platform. So what that means is they are really good at pre-hire assessments, talent assessments, on-demand video interviewing, things like automated reference checking. So if you're in the reference checking game, if you're doing a lot of reference checking, they have a phenomenal process behind automating that process for you. So check them out. It's Outmatch. So Glassdoor and Outmatch, thank you very much for taking care of us today and helping us to put on the webinar. Let's go forward, Mike. I keep calling you Mike. Is it Michael?
You can call me either one. That's fine.
I know. I always go back and forth every time. It's Michael or Mike. So here we are. So Michael Krause, you see him there in the photo. Michael is a senior tech recruiter at Walmart Labs e-commerce. So we figured what better way to talk about recruiting, tech recruiting the old way, or sick of tech recruiting the old way, than bringing in someone that we know is doing this hands-on each and every day. So Michael, I'll give you a second just to go through a brief intro yourself. I'll pass it over to you. If you have questions, please put them in the panel. We will queue them up. Some we will ask during the webinar. Others will be towards the end. All right, Michael, I'll pass it over to you.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that, Ryan. You have about 25 years experience recruiting. Probably 10 to 12 of that was is in heavy tech recruiting. I've also had the privilege of being a speaker at SourceCon last year and Hire Conference last year. And again, SourceCon, I think I'm doing a breakout session for them this year. And of course, obviously doing this webinar here, which is great. I'm also part of SourceCon's technology committee that reviews technology. Ironically, I oversee or review sourcing platforms. And for the breakout session for SourceCon, we'll be covering sourcing platforms. Hands-on coach, leader, talent acquisition professional. I try to help anybody and everybody that I can. I know there's some people on this webinar that I have worked with and talked to and helped. I like to be peer-to-peer help. I don't think of myself ever as a mentor, just somebody else trying to help find solutions to the problem. So this right here is recruiting tools for the modern search. This is, tech recruiting in the old ways used to be post and pray or hope you knew somebody or poaching. And we want to make this a little bit more smart of a search. Again, another little intro for myself. I'm Michael Krause, also known as the Virtual Bounty Hunter, because I used to be an actual bounty hunter many, many years ago and many pounds ago. But I'm here because I love to share new ideas and concepts to help engage candidates. I guess capture is not the right word since we can't keep them, but we do try to engage them. And you can always find me on Twitter at Michael Krause 91. People ask me why the 91, and I said because 9/11, my birthday wouldn't fit. So that's why the handle's like it is. The tools I'm going to show you and the concepts I'm going to show you, some are paid, some are free. I did not put pricing on here because everybody seems to have a special and different concepts, and there's different levels of use for that. So you'll see a lot of these on here, and some of them you'll have to experiment with. Some are very inexpensive, and some can be enterprise pricing, but all of them are good tools. This is something I tell everybody. The use of tools or AI is critical to your ability to do more with less and having more time to be human and connect your candidates. I try to summarize this, that AI allows me to be more human and humanizes the relationship that I have with people. If I can do things faster, better, stronger, then I get to have more time engaged in the person because I'm hiring the person, not the process. And I have an acronym coming up here for CASE, your foundation for success. You're building a case here, and you'll see that the CASE will make more sense as we go along, but I put it together as competitive intel. Always have data on your competition, company info, position info, market placement, ask for intel, which is basically a manager intake or strategy session, depending on what your company calls those. The sourcing, search plan, strategy session, sourcing initiative, different people have different names for that. And then finally, we're going to cover engagement, interview, screen type of offer and world. On the competitive intel, you're trying to gather info on similar companies as your clients. You want to, whether your agency or your corporate recruiter, you want to know what other people call their people, what the job titles may or may not be like yours. Where they're located, do they have locations similar to yours? One of the easiest ways to do is going to your favorite search engine, whether it be Bing or Google, or whatever else out there that you like to use, and put in similar : company name, or you can also use related company name in quotations. This will give you probably 10 to 12 companies that are going to appear to be closely matched to you. I have found doing this when I did agency recruiting that probably the first 5 or 6 are going to be the most closely relevant, and the other ones, obviously, as you do with any search engine, the less relevant go to the bottom. But this is always a quick and easy way to get an idea of who your competition is, because especially in agency side, you don't know who your competition is. And I can tell you on the corporate side, ironically, a lot of corporate people internally don't realize who their competition is. The salespeople do, but most people in the rest of the organization really don't know who their competition is or where they would like to get people from. So this definitely helps. And also, you can research company culture and jobs to get that information. Also find out what the culture's like, good or bad, on one of our sponsors here, Glassdoor. Glassdoor is great to see rankings of a company. You can see interview process, if it's good or bad for them. Rankings of their CEO is a good way to start to get competitive intel on companies. So it's probably the first and fastest and easiest to get an overview on culture in other organizations. Other ones I use, LinkedIn Insights. It's a great, tool to get company info. You have to have LinkedIn Campaign Manager for it, but it's very easy to install. Great information comes off of LinkedIn Insights. You'll find that I'm probably going to go through a lot of these and not click on the links because I could probably take 8 hours to cover all these different ones I have on here. But trust me, these sites are live. And when you get this deck, these links will all be live and take you to these sites. But it's a great way to get information on companies because more and more companies like to have their profile out there. Other than their website, the most prevalent place for them to put that has been on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn Insights is great for that. Salaries, this is good for corporate recruiters primarily and somewhat for agency, but for corporate recruiters, if you're fighting the pay battle and trying to justify what we need to pay, or as you do a search, what is competitive pay, and to be able to build your competitive pay focus, PayScale and salary.com are great for that. I have found that salary.com is probably closer than PayScale, but both of them will be relevant, and they both have sliding scales based on company size and what's mid-market and high and low. The other one I use is Owler.com, and I want to see if I did have, I don't see it here. I'm sure I can get to it here. Give me just a second. If it comes up. Owler is good to get information on companies. It gives you a lot of different insights, and I'm going to show you. Brian, can you guys see my screen here with Owler?
Yep, we got it.
Yeah. So for competition, obviously for Walmart e-commerce, where I work now, is Amazon, AWS there. You can see companies I worked for before. There's some other companies. But what's great is I can go onto any one of these and click on the logo, and it's going to give me competitive information about the company, their revenues, who their competitors are if they have them. There's a review, revenue. Let's see here, competitors. There it is. So what they see is their competitors in that space. This is Amazon Labs, so this is who they would see in their space. If there's news about them coming out, this is also great for that. What they're doing. So, as you go to find the information on other companies, you can find the good, the bad, the ugly. You can find out what they've got that's going on that's, more sexy than your product, or how your product can be more sexy than theirs. But it's a good tool. It's easy to set up. I like it better than Hoover's or some of these others, because it kind of cuts through to what I can use the information I want to use for my searches, without having to tell me the financials and that, which financials can be important, but they're not necessarily that helpful in our search initially. But again, it's great to track companies. I've also used, on this next one, Google Alerts is good because it comes into your email every day. You can set companies up on this. It's very easy to do. Again, all this is giving you competitive information so that you know where to look, how to look, and what to say when you start to find them. So you're building up a search profile with this competitive intelligence so that you're searching smarter, because one of the biggest challenges I've had in training people get into tech recruiting is that they don't know what they don't know, and they don't have enough information to go out and build a good search. So they're just going, oh, I put this job title in, I'm going to search. You need to know more than that. You need to know where to search.
Hey, Michael, we've got
Yeah,
a couple of questions on
sure.
when you pulled up this page here on Google Alerts. Is it possible to click out and show people how you're using that, or how to set that up?
I don't have this one. Nope, I don't have that one live on the link there. I can towards the end here if you want to
Okay,
show you that. I just have to see if I have Google Alerts set up with my current company. I know I still get them from my last one, but Google Alerts are very easy to set up in a system, but I can show that towards the end.
sure, thanks.
Next, LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If you sign up for LinkedIn, you can choose recruiter or sales, and I chose sales because our job is sales, in the sense that we are selling people on the company and the company to the people. This is a good one for watching for announcements. So I'll find key people in organizations, whether it be marketing or sales, because a lot of times they like to broadcast what's going on in an organization. So it gives you an idea if there's changes in an organization. Again, it gives you another idea for a target. Newsletters from competitors. I can tell you in one of my previous roles that I was able to find out a lot of information just by going to the competitor site and just sign up for a newsletter like anybody with my personal email, not my work email, and was able to get a lot of that information sent over to me daily, so I could use that when I call. I knew about things a lot of times before the employees did. They didn't read their own newsletter. And then Twitter is great. Obviously you get up to the minute information on that. I have two different profiles. I have one that is you've seen earlier, and then I have another one called recruit sourcers. So when I'm looking to recruit recruiters and sourcers, and the company's having layoffs or changes, it gives me a company to target to try to find those people. Because one of the things I do for Walmart e-commerce on top of my regular duties in tech recruiting is I also help them with finding talent to recruit and to source for us when they have needs around the country. So those are some of the good searches. Next, I'm going to talk about asking the right questions. In building an intake, I could put together a form and present it to you here, and if you hit me up afterwards, I'll send you what I use. But I think everybody's got their own form of a strategy or intake session. But one of the things I like to do with them is ask them, what's the 3 things you want that you didn't put on the job description? When I'm dealing with a hiring manager or someone making a decision on the hiring, it's not in the job descriptions, because a lot of times they either didn't write them or they have kind of a wish list they want, which is actually going to be their triggers. I also ask daily objectives. What do you get? What will they get to do here? Because when I find somebody, again, I need to sell them on the opportunity. And this next one here is one of my favorite. I like to ask what questions will be presented during the interview. And typically, if you can get them to share the questions they're going to ask during the interview, this helps you build a very, very smart tech recruiting search string or search keywords, because you may be searching for Java, but there could be sub-skill sets within there or focuses or versions that they are really going to be looking for. They're going to want to know, do they know how to use this? Do they have that? If they do a anchor rank type testing, what are you going to be testing them on? What are you going to have them solve? So this is asking what their interview questions are going to be. Typically, you ask what their technical questions are going to be like, and that really gives you a good idea of what their search string is going to be for, or search strings to build. And I found this to be one of the best tools for me to really narrow down my searches, whether I'm using a Boolean string or a sourcing platform. Is if I can find out what they're going after, it gives me an idea what to hunt for. And again, back to what I said about daily objectives, how is what they're doing impact others? What is it that they have going on in the organization? I've got a group within Walmart e-commerce that does inventory control, which sounds boring, but literally this group writes programs that controls the inventory for the world for Walmart, which is pretty cool when they sit down and explain what they do, and I'd be able to share that, that what you do impacts billions of people, not millions, but billions of people. So it's a very cool tech that they have in Stack. So they're able to take that and help me sell that to a candidate once I find them. Next, the S part of this search, tools paid and free, tools with AI, and tools with AI and combined capabilities. I have found that Boolean is always not the easiest thing to do, so I put this up here. Recruiting.net is really good at pulling down and building search strings for you. You can put in your keywords and locations and to include or not include. It'll build out a very long, complicated string, or a very effective string, if you will. There, Source Hub, Source at Social Talent, they have a very good one for that as well. Hire Tool has their Chrome extension, and Bool is kind of one that can sit up in the corner of your screen that you can kind of work with as you're doing searches and build out strings or modify your strings as you do them. I will tell you that one of the things I find that works with these, just like doing plain Boolean, is if your search isn't working, switch the order of which you are searching. If you're doing location and skills, do skills and location. It'll give you a completely different set of responses when you're doing your searches with Boolean. Facebook search is very, very popular. I know that people like Shelley Steckroll focus on this in great detail and have a really good training program on diving down into the weeds and manipulating the strings and such. But for the bulk of the rest of us that need something quick and easy, Searches Back has been around for a long time. It was never meant for initial recruiting. It was just meant for a general search, but it's very good. Stalkface is one that I've been using probably the past 2 years. Very easy to use, very intuitive. And then people find Thor is very simple. This was made in, I want to say Denmark, obviously with a DK, but I'm not sure. But I stumbled upon this probably three source counts ago, when I was doing some comparing with another person from Europe, and they said, well, have you tried this? And brought it up, and it's a very, very concise search tool for that. For Twitter searching, you guys have heard of Hootsuite, which I didn't put a link on there, but you can search Twitter in a lot of different ways. The search home, there's TweetDeck you can go after, and then Follower Wonk is similar to People Finder, but it's for Twitter searches. It gives you a very concise breakdown of how it works, where to work. In fact, I think this was originally brought to my attention by Susan Frazier, who had this on one of her presentations, I think a couple years ago. And I found it to be probably one of the easiest to use when searching on Twitter. Again, I'm giving you guys, I'm going quite fast, I know, but I'm giving you guys a lot of targets to go after because, again, it's a matter of what works. This is my toolbox. This may not be the total solution for everybody, but hopefully you'll get some tools out of here that work. These tools all work for me, and I use all of these tools. Blog sites, About Me is really good. About Me is a great site to X-ray. When you're building up your site string, you put site : about me in there, and then your keywords. People that write about themselves, brag about themselves, write articles for publication, newsletters, whatever. This is a very good place for that, and that site is very, very easily X-rayed with a simple Boolean string. Medium.com is gaining popularity, is another one which is usually much longer and much more detailed writing. But About Me, I think you'll find, because people typically are writing 2, 3, 4 paragraphs, a lot of their contact information is tied to that. This is a good place to find people that don't have LinkedIn profiles, that may or may not be active on Twitter, but in like the scientific realm, when I've done Bristol Myers Squibb and Novo Nordisk in the years past, is to find people that really have no real social profile, but they write a lot of articles about what they do. So this can be a good one for that. Tech recruiting is our focus, but I can tell you a lot of these tools work outside of tech as well. Events are a good one to go after. Sketch.com, I think used to be lanyard.com. I'm not sure, but it's another good one to search, and X-ray, as well as Eventbrite's another one to try to join and belong to things. A lot of them are similar to webinars where you can sign up if they're free, and Eventbrite, typically they'll give you information or you request information from the sponsor. The sponsors are fairly easy to get a hold of. The rest of these are obvious to see. Facebook group, LinkedIn groups are good to go after. Facebook groups are typically easy to join, very easy to X-ray. LinkedIn groups is probably not as popular as it used to be, but it's still a good place. There's still good conversations. What I have found with LinkedIn groups, going after niches, or if I have to do diversity, I look for the contributors. The contributors are the ones that are going to respond to you. The contributors are typically going to be ones that can put you onto other talent that you may not know of, that they may have a relationship with or have communicated with on a regular basis. So try to look for people that are contributors in both of these groups, and they're typically going to be your best resource for trying to get someone to be an advocate for you in opportunities that you're going after. Associations, this works across any industry. I've used this for engineering and medical, manufacturing, consumer products. Associations are a gold mine. A lot of them are free. A lot of them are very easy to use. And attorneys, you can get their site and it has everybody listed on there. There's corporate attorney associations, which are good to go after. But a lot of these tech associations will make it pretty easy for you to get information pulled down. And obviously you can search them by industry. If your company has a specific industry, you can go after that and see if there's tech subsectors. Meetup.com, this is a gold mine. I have placed people in the tech recruiting in markets I've never been before. This is like having a friend in the market. You join the local meetups in markets that you're trying to recruit. You try to join or you get with the organizer. I have found asking the organizers permission to join And just to say that I'm going to announce that I'm a recruiter or put something in there like that, they'll typically will embrace you on programs that are usually closed meetup groups or they have scrutiny to them. But meetups is another one that can be x-rayed as well. But I find joining and getting inside and talking is very easy. A real quick side note for this, I joined a meetup for developers in Los Angeles in a very specific industry, and actually joined up, asked the organizer, she had 700 members to this on there. I said, could I join your site? And she goes, yeah, well, what do you want it for? And I told her, I want to be able to reach out to the people I know about opportunities. She goes, well, I'm a recruiter. Would you be willing to work with me and let me do this with you? I'm like, for the opportunity at that time, I'm like, sure. She literally hand delivered 20 people to me the next day. Within 2 days, we were interviewing. Within the week, we had the role filled. So again, asking permission without necessarily dissecting their group can work for you. Again, skill and location are important, and then going after their members. There we go. Contact search. If you're starting to find people and you're looking for them and to see if they're at other places, Name Checker is awesome. If you click on Name Checker, you can take, and let me see if this one will work for me. There we go. You can put in anybody's name in here. Absolutely separated.
I cannot be held responsible for what comes up.
I'm just saying. But you can hear and see if they belong to any groups or any of the groups have picked them up, or if they've had videos or anything created, domains tied to it. But Name Checker is a good place to try to find these people. It's not perfect, but you can find out if they have different areas to look. I'm going to go off topic real quick here on this. Slack is a great tool to search for talent. A lot of the Slack communities are open and the tech recruiting are open. A friend of mine, Brian Fink, showed this to me. But Slack, just coming off of here, is a great place to go. Join groups, ask for information. Don't be overly bold about what you're doing. Kind of look and listen and then figure out who the players are. Again, similar to the meetups, ask permissions, but Slack is a great place to go because those communities are open, and also the information they put in there is never deleted. So you can actually scroll back once you're part of these to find out conversations or who had conversations the day before you were watching and try to go back and reach them. So that was just a nice little extra in there. Contact, again, Pipple, most of you have heard of that. That's them is another good one for that. None of these are 100%, but they give you a lot closer than you guessing or not knowing. So when people say, we had a project come out at Walmart e-commerce when we first came on, we had parts of information. We had to get emails, we had to get names, we had to try to find phone numbers. These were some of the tools that were good to fulfill that information so we could build a campaign to reach out to these folks. For your contact tracing, which also will stay on your desktop within Social Talents, this used to be ZenSource, or it's now called GEM. It's a great tool for kind of reaching out and building your own contact network CRM on your monitor there. Yeah, very intuitive, very easy to use. The support that these people give you is great. Paid tools, these are more of a, you get X number for so many dollars, 300 for $30 or 1,000 for $10. These other ones are good for that. Lead IQ is probably my least favorite, but it gives you the least amount of answers, but they're concise. Hunter.io is a good one and probably the best pricing as far as, again, what I've used. And I use a lot of paid tools if I found that they were good during the free version, because again, time is money, and if I can pay for a tool and it gives me information back quickly, then it makes my job a lot easier. Again, one of the other programs we had to do with our sourcing group at Walmart e-commerce and other organizations I've been is it a good email? Instead of going to trying to buy something like Kickbox or these others where you have to load in a lot of data for them to build out and do testing for you, where they'll ping these sites. Mail Tester, Email Checker, and verifyemailaddress.io are all very good for that as well. Typically, you're going to get about a 70-80% accuracy rate with all three of these. So again, I've used probably 30 or 40 different email checkers, and I found these three to give me the most concise and usually the most relevant. I'm not sure how often they update, but I have found that when I've used these, 1 out of 2, 1 out of 3 emails are solid and get through to my intended target. Phone number verifier. These are okay if you're trying to reach people. They will tell you I have found they're better to tell you if a phone number is valid rather than the valid of the source. Globally, OpenCNAM is great for Europe. I found it to be very useful in Germany and in the UK when I've had to search there for previous companies. Domestic phone validator is probably the easiest one to use. I think it's also free, so it makes it even better to use. If you're trying to validate phone numbers, or if you got a bad number, or if you're having to do a campaign, I know you can reach out to these people and ask them for a price, they'll actually do a validation of bulk phone numbers for you. And then my most favorite one on the mobile is sync.me. I love having this, so anybody that calls me, I instantly know an awful lot about you, especially with a smartphone. If I talk to you on a speakerphone and you hear me kind of hesitating, I may be looking at your Facebook profile, your Twitter handles, but sync.me is free, but the paid version is well worth it. It's great to have on your phone, especially if you're mobile and you're wanting to talk to clients or you don't know who it was you called and they're calling you back. It comes up with their name and as much relevant information that it can pull down from several different social sites. So I love having sync.me on my phone. It is well worth the small investment that it has on there, especially if you are, again, a recruiter that is going to be mobile. You want tools that keep you from having to be at your desk all the time, but allow you to still be effective. And that's one of the reasons I picked that up about 2 years ago, and they are constantly improving the quality. The next here, these are the sourcing platforms. A couple of these are HireTool. I'm sure most everybody on this call has probably used them or know of them. They have been continually evolving with their platform. It used to be just a basic search and a Chrome extension. Now it's becoming a very robust CRM. Their AI or their machine learning is great. It's very intuitive. If you get to it on the AI version of it, you give it some criteria, you tell it what you want, it goes out and gets you people relevant, maybe 3 or 4, you calibrate whether those are good, and then it does another search and gives you 50 or 100 that are relevant to those 2 or 3 that you brought out in this first search. Almost like you as a recruiter would go out and sample the market and bring into your intake session with a hiring manager. Hey, how do these look? You like this one, you like that one, what do you do like, what you don't like? Okay, now I know what to go search. So that portion is good. Seekout's another one that has been growing in its capability. It's very, very robust in the US. They have a GitHub version of it as well, which is very, very good and very easy to use. There's very targeted. Their US search is basically, they scrub down the LinkedIns and the social medias that they go after, so your searches are very clean when you get them back. I have found them to be a little bit more on target. When I've done search between HireTool and Seekout, I have found that Seekout will bring up maybe the incumbent on page 1 and HireTool on page 2. So they're both relevant. It's just a matter of which one you want to use and how broad of your search you want to go. Skipping to the last one here, Amazing Hiring is a company I ran into about 1.5 years ago. Mark Lundgren introduced them to me. They are a global IT searching, and what I like about them is when you search on Amazing Hiring, it brings back from 40 different sites information it finds. So they'll check CoderWall, Slack, GitHub, blogs that may be tied to it. And when it brings you the information back, it brings you back the phone numbers and emails, and it tells you which sites it came from. It gives you some of the rankings that come off of Slack and GitHub of whether it's stars or colors or rankings that they have on there. So you're getting a very, very good snapshot of that. Adaptation into the US has been okay. They have a California-based office, but their program's out of Moscow. So I know some people have been a little bit apprehensive about them, but I've told you the organizations I've worked with and the searches I've done, great search information from them, especially overseas when you're trying to get a broader search than just the US. They do well in the US, but they're really great on global. Back to search, ZapInfo is not a search platform, but I have them on my monitor. So when I go to LinkedIn, or if I want to go to any other site, I can click a Zap. It will gather and validate phone numbers, sites. ZapInfo will give you where their other social sites are at. So it'll come up with a little box at the top for Ryan Leary, and it'll list all the other places it is verified where he has a profile, whether it be Facebook or Instagram, and it'll have a link. And if you click on that, it'll take you to that other social platform to be able to get more information. It's very inexpensive. I like it better than Data Miner because I don't have to create the recipe or keep the recipe. Data Miner is great for those who know how to use it. But ZapInfo is very intuitive, very easy, and very quick. And that's what I need when I'm doing a search. I don't need to try to go look up recipes in my bookmarklets. I need to be able to do something that I can do on the fly. If I find something I really like, what other information can I find? Where else are they at? ZapInfo is great for that. And these are that kind of summarizes the search part of it. The next one I'm going to get into is going to be Engage. Ryan, how are we doing on time?
I think we are good. We got about, we'll call it about 10 minutes, and then we'll go into some Q&A.
Okay. Yeah, these next ones I'll go through pretty quickly. Engaging, this is one that can be very subjective. Calling, texting, emailing, it's pretty simple. Subject line, call to action, value in your content. You want to do that. 2 sentences on text, so they fit. Great tools for their Textio, Text Recruit, Mighty Text. Video, people that know me know I love BombBomb. The name's a little funny to use, but I like this because I can record an intro. I have a little whiteboard where I put your name. What it does is it sends across in the email a GIF, so it doesn't get blocked by firewalls or seen as spam. It comes across with a GIF, and that GIF usually has my face and the clipboard going, "Hey Ryan, can we talk?" And I'll put the date on there. Very effective in getting people to respond. A lot of times I get laughter back. Sometimes I get people recording a video back to me. A lot of them either tell me they're not interested or interested, but it is very, very good at getting a response rate. I just did
Hey, Michael, can you explain BombBomb itself, how you're using it,
yeah,
type of message that you're doing?
yeah, BombBomb. I've not used it that much at Walmart e-commerce because there's a great flow and we got great sources there. But in my previous life last year and for a while, and occasionally here I've used it. I take it and I create a video for initial outreach to a candidate. It helps shows that it's personable. The message is very short. It's, "Hey, I found you here," which I know is a little bit of a cliche, which that's one I can use. Ryan, you told me I could have two, but it's this is where I found you. This is what I know about you, and this is why I think you're relevant for my opportunity. People love that because it's personable. I was caught on a hook by Indeed Academy. They did the same thing. Hey, Michael Krause, can we talk? I didn't buy their product, but I love the concept. So that's where I picked it up. But I found it to be a great tool for reaching out to people, sending messages, getting them to respond to me because they feel like it's much more personable than a text or an email. because I'm not having to worry about what my words mean if they're having a bad day. If they see a smile on my face and me being real, that personalizes the messages, and I've had their name. It just does wonders for initial outreach. I've also used it in campaigns where I've had on my BombBomb site, I have initial outreach, I have second and third. Again, keeping them very short. And probably some of you have the format that you've used for multiple contacts and using some of the same messaging, but having your face there and your voice does wonders to personalize your message. But that's how I'm using it for initial outreach. I may start using it here shortly if candidates don't respond to me on offers or start ghosting me on my offers. I may start putting a little whiteboard up saying I will find you or you better call me to get them to respond. But it's a great initial outreach tool. Subject lines, I'm just going over this real quick. 2 that work good for me, then the person's name only, or can we talk this afternoon? Without them knowing what it is, they're going to open your email. They're going to open your text or look at it because it creates a sense of intrigue. Can we talk this afternoon about what? They're going to have to open it. Their name, well, it must be addressed to me, so I'm going to open it. If you want a subject line tester, Send Check It is great for that. Very easy to use. Again, I came up with this a couple of years ago from someone showing me this, and I have found that it gets you, again, a higher open rate than, hey, I found you on so-and-so. It gets you ones that it's going to rank you and tell you what looks better for that. Content, as you all know, but again, these are some of the experiences I've had with training people. Why are you reaching out to them? Be very specific. Reference the source and what made you act. I found you on GitHub. I noticed your iOS development. I downloaded your app. I thought it was cool. Can you tell me a little bit more what made you create that? Also, if you have the second emails and contents, tell them about how the role impacts the company world, like I talked about earlier, your employer value proposition, what your company stands for, whether it be a social standpoint or its function in the world or how it makes things better. Writing better messages, Hemingway app. Check it out. It's a good app. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but again, it's something that makes it very easy to craft messages that sound more intelligent than what you may have in your head getting on the paper. I can tell you that it's definitely helped me with that, especially when I get into the more senior roles and I want to convey a much more intelligent message. I found the Hemingway app to be great for that. Next, outreach campaigns. Zapier is probably good for that. Luxo is an ATS that I use, which has a great drip campaign. I can set the number. I can set the messaging I want. I can do it for 2 or I can do it for 20, and I can set the timeline for a week to a month to a year. HubSpot's got a free, inexpensive versions to drip campaigns, very formalized, a lot of tools to help you build those out, again, trying to reach candidates. Recruitment marketing to help find and engage people. These can be a little bit expensive, but they are, Beamery, I've sampled theirs. Talent Lift I've actually used in the past. Both are good for a marketing campaign, again, but marketing is going to be like your efforts. The response is going to be based on the message, the quality of the message, and the target of your message. Interview scheduling, when you're trying to engage people. Calendly, which took me about 2 weeks to say that right. Great app, works wonderfully with Office 365. You can put some branding on there for your company. Every person I've ever had scheduled through that likes it because they feel like they're actually getting true visibility into my calendar. I block off times I don't want them to be scheduled, but when they go look on there, they can pick a time that works for them. Using Calendly, I have a 95% show rate to my interviews. Only 5% of the people don't make it for whatever reason. So it's good at making sure your time is wisely used and used for the intended purpose. You Can Book Me is another easy one. And Full Slate, I like theirs in companies that have been in the past because they have a page that you can fully customize for your company branding and make it look like your company's calendar program. But Calendly is probably the most robust, has a lot of capabilities, functionalities, length of time you can set interviews for, what they're for, labeling them. So Calendly, check it out, very easy to use. Now this one, if you have time to research people and your roles are a little bit more complex or a little bit more senior, I use both of these, Full Deep Sense and Crystal Knows. It's a good tool for kind of getting candidates soft skills. You can use their profiles like I put on their LinkedIn URL, Twitter handle, phone numbers. It gives you what type of personalities when you're talking to them. Are they a thinker? Are they a doer? Are they a feeler? You know, DISC and OCEAN are two different types of assessments that are out there, and it gives you options for both of those to give you results so that if you're engaging a candidate in communication, do you have a style that you present the big picture? Do you just do the facts? This is where you get a little bit more in depth to engaging people in your messaging. Again, I try to use this on my more senior roles where I need to have somebody that has leadership abilities but has empathy, you know, or I need an individual contributor that can also lead. So I want to see, does somebody like to be hands-on? Are they a doer, or are they more of just a leader type personality? Again, with Crystal Knows, it uses the DISC version of that. Both of them are very, very easy to use. Getting close here, a couple more slides. Video engagement, again, I talked about the bomb. Record and ask questions. This is not my favorite. I've an organization I worked in the past, I've used Spark Hire to record questions and ask people to respond. I like this one because I like them in the aspect of they see me in a video asking them questions. So for remote positions or positions that I need to see how they're going to react, or in a sales position, sales roles, I've used this where I've asked questions. I want to see how they present themselves. Do they themselves to death in the messaging, or are they confident in how they respond? You have to make, people don't like to engage in this, so you have to kind of preface it that this is a two-way communication tool, that I'm asking you questions and you answer back and there's no wrong answers. Again, this engagement's probably not my favorite, but it does work, especially when you're going after remote workers. And then HireVue is a very good live video interview platform. This one I used probably a year and a half ago for probably about 3 months, where we wanted to talk to a lot of people in a short period of time. This was very good for using for that. Again, a live video interview back and forth, but you could do the same thing with Zoom and some of these others, but there's some feature with HireVue that you would like. This last one, HackerRank, is the only one I really like on this page that really gives a good for coding IT. Glider is IT focused. It again tries to mix some of that personality with skill sets. And then Burke is a good assessment company. I've talked with them. I've used their program. Very cool information they get from that, but I will tell you, you have to do a cost benefit analysis with using a tool like Burke's Assessments. Lastly, I'm going to give you a list of people that I find great for additional tools. So not only did you get from today tools to use, I work with Suzanne Frazier at Walmart e-commerce. Carmen, I know all these people I know and have talked to. Even Michael Basil, who's done Intel Techniques. Intel Techniques is kind of your open source intelligence side of getting information, where you kind of run out of ideas. If you go to this site, it's going to give you much more, not much more, it's going to give you a lot more sites to go to. All of the Intel Techniques sites are free. I think that's what Michael kind of did that for, but they're meant to get open source intelligence for reporters and everybody else, but we all are digging like reporters and researching like reporters for information. But all these links are good. All these people have a lot of information on their sites that you can use for tech recruiting and other recruiting. And finally, me. So you can get in touch with me at Recruiter on Demand, which is my company. Also, you can reach out to me at michael.krause at Walmart e-commerce, at walmart.com, sorry. And then my LinkedIn profile if you want to connect with me, which I love to connect with people, love to help you in any way I can. And like I say in my business, being the virtual bounty hunter, tell candidates, I will find you.
All right, good stuff, Michael. Thank you so much. We have a couple questions. I want to run through them. So let me check time. We got about 5 minutes, so we'll kind of spitfire some of these answers.
Okay.
Does BombBomb get stuck in a spam filter?
No, because it comes across as a GIF, so it looks like any other icon that you put across. It's very, very small.
Got it. Okay. And what is a drip campaign?
Drip campaign is setting up a marketing campaign of a number of successions you want to reach out to somebody. If you want it like one day, 3 days, 5 days, a week, month, but setting up a campaign that automatically works and drips like a faucet. It keeps sending information out at whatever sequence you want. So that's the idea behind the drip campaign, is it's dripping a little bit of information at scheduled times to people to get a call to action. And what's great with people like Luxo, or in most of these out there, HubSpot as well, when the person responds, the campaign stops.
Good. Okay. Just a reminder, if you have questions, now's the time to drop them in. We do have some flowing in, so go ahead and add yours in, and we will get to it. Let's see. We had some questions around X-raying. You mentioned X-raying on about.me. Can you show a quick example of how to do that live?
Yeah, let me see here. Let me, hang on a second. Where's my, I'm not, if you see up there, site colon about me dot, and I just put in Java. And as you see, it starts giving me people's names here, things they may have wrote. Obviously, I have the preview screen here, so who they are. Again, different people. These preview screens are nice to have. Some of them be resumes. Some will just be things where they wrote, you know, some may be very personal, but web developer, student, software engineer, Atlanta. Again, you can take this string and make it relevant to locations that you have. Well, there's two. So again, messing with a little bit, but again, taking the skill set and going to about me, again, with your jobs there, but very easy to use. Same thing with creating sites.
Okay. We have some questions around, do the tools work in Europe?
I've only been to Europe once and was there for 2 weeks, and everything I tried worked. I did not have any restrictions. Now with the GDPR, you have to be careful of the information you get back and what you do with it. But information's out there. It's a matter of what you do with it is where you have to be careful in the European communities.
Okay.
Yes.
Does Crystal provide 100% personality details? So I guess that's all it says. So I'm not sure how to take that.
It will give you a better idea how to speak to your audience. Yes, it is very good. It uses the Disc platform. If you like Disc or you like Ocean, you kind of have to research them. I like Deep Sense more than Crystal knows, just because of the amount of information it gives. But yeah, I found them to be, other than my boss at my old company, to be 99% accurate. He was bound determined not to be anything like it. Said he was empathetic, and he said he was not. So I had to agree with him.
Got it. All right. Can you email a copy of the intake questions?
Yes, just those email addresses. If you send to Michael, either one of those email addresses, I'll be more than happy to send you the intake form that I use.
Okay.
I've used it every place I've worked.
Yeah, and maybe if you have it, if you want to, you can send it over, and we can send that out to everybody
Okay.
after. Yeah, well, we can link out to that.
Let me write that down.
Yeah, so we can do
Intake
that.
to Ryan.
Let's
Okay.
see, what are the best tools or sites to find financial professionals? Any thoughts there?
I tell you what, email me and I will help you do that. I don't want to spend 10 minutes here trying to do that. I've gone to banks financial institutions. It depends on what your financial role is. Are you looking for advisors, consultants? Are you looking for banking professionals? Are you looking for CFOs, controllers? It really depends, but I'd be more than happy to work with somebody one-on-one on that.
Okay, so we have a couple more, but let's just take this one here because it came up before earlier around Google Alerts. Can you please show us how to set up a Google Alert?
Yeah. Oh, let me see if I have my link to it. But instead of spending 20 minutes on it, here is probably the best. Like, this is what I put together for someone last week in creating a Google Alert. Very simple, hands down information on this. So very easy to do. You can set up your alerts. Obviously, you want to be in Chrome when you put these together. You want to, how often you get notifications, the sites you want to see, the languages. This one is one of those that does work globally. So when I was recruiting in Amsterdam and Rotterdam for data centers, I want to know who was making any changes out there. But Google Alerts, again, I have a couple just set up for Amazon, again, for trying to target them. Anything goes on with them, I get notified. Obviously, that's my daughter, 21 pilots and that, but what'll happen is the companies you set up and the programs you set up and the information you want will come from them, how often you want them, the sources. Again, this is information that's been coming into my email. This came from Vox, CNN, USA Today. So this information will come into your email addresses. So it's very easy to set up when you put the company and then you set up the options that you want to put on. I mean, it's literally that easy, but you want to make sure, like, if you have a targeted company, get their website, see if they have subsidiaries. It's another way to make sure you're getting a complete picture. But LinkedIn Sales Navigator is probably going to give you much more relevant information to your recruiting side of things. This Google Alerts can create some unneeded noise in your emails. So it's really up to you on how you want to set it up. But again, it's very easy to do the alerts as well.
And another thing on the Google Alerts, I haven't used them or haven't recruited hands-on in a very long time, but I actually still get some alerts back because I've never shut them off. And as you were talking, I went in and I was looking at them. I've got a couple of alerts set up through searches, through different Boolean searches
Yep.
that I created on competitive companies, and this one specifically was for biotech. But I do get weekly emails from my alerts that show resumes that were updated within the last 7 days since the previous alerts. So you can definitely still use Google Alerts to do that, and get some pretty good results there. So with that, we're just out of time. So Michael, thank you so much for the great webinar, a lot of information. And for everybody still on the call, you will receive an email that will have a link to the recording. You will also get a copy of the slides, and in that email, there will be some information from both Glassdoor and Outmatch, so check that out. There's some good content coming your way, and we'll get I believe it was the intake questions. Is that what it was?
Yep. Yeah, the intake form, I'll get that to you in just a moment.
Okay, and we'll get the intake form in there as well. So be on the lookout for that email. It will come within the next couple of hours or so. If you don't get it today, definitely check in the morning, and that's that. So we've got another really good webinar next week. That will be in there as well, so make sure you check that out. And if you are in DC, we are going to be coming live to DC. I believe it is June 6th. Let me just double check that. For HRTX, which is a full day event on training. So we have Shally Steckrell and team, Brian Fink. We have Tanji Pettis. We've got Aaron Matthews, and I'm missing somebody. I can't think. I'm missing someone.
Let me jump in there. I've been to this HRTX. It's a day well vested for anybody with any skill set. You will come away with new information. You will learn something. There is definitely a value proposition to this. Your time is well worth going to these HRTX. If they're in your area, or if you're going to be in an area, look for one to be there. They're very, very good.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So we've got DC coming up on the 6th. Then we've got San Francisco, Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, and LA. So keep an eye out for that. We'll put that information in there as well. All right, Michael, thank you so much. Thank you again to both Glassdoor and Outmatch for helping us bring this to the audience today. And that's all we've got. So we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.